Bruno says, does anybody use LinkedIn to get clients? Does it even actually work? Saul says, how are y'all tracking results for your clients? Travis says, just had a client cancel because in their words, they wanted to mix it up. We accounted for 58% of their total business last year through SEO alone. I love running an agency. We're in the machine. Welcome, motherfuckers. Big shout out to Lana, by the way. Look at this. She got me some swag. Which I appreciate so much. When you guys give me cool surprise gifts, I feel like an internet celebrity, which I am most definitely not. But nonetheless, I appreciate it. And you guys are the coolest. Quick little announcement before we get rocking and rolling. I am slowly releasing version 3.0 of this. Some of the book is exactly the same, but probably about 40-50% of it is new. And I'll tell you some of the reasons. One is like when I first wrote the book 5 years ago, there was no AI. So I wanted to give you guys some deets about, just what the fuck has changed in the world since we're using AI to grow agencies. As well, I've gone a lot deeper on what people call my shoe store strategy, which I think is the most intelligent way to grow an agency. Also go deep on really everything that works for getting clients, training them, onboarding, cool stuff like that. And so the physical hard copy, if you guys go to Amazon, that is updated. The PDF version, for those of you guys who bought an electronic version, is updated. The Kindle version will be updated hopefully in the next few days. And the Audible version will probably take me up to a month, just so you guys know, because they're really finicky over at Audible, and they reject it and they make you go through this manual approval process. It just takes some time. That's the dealio, but we will get you guys that. Also, we're working on an Audible version. Shout out to Scott Somerville. We are just about finished the Audible version of book 2, so you guys will get that as well. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys in this version of the coolness. No music today. Not that cool. Let's get into the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Man, old man yells at cloud. Frankie Fihn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. Shout out to the huge dad guns, which, by the way, I exercised this morning. I'm not a naturally muscular guy. I'm a skinny dude. It is what it is. But there we go. Exercising. Good for you. All right, so let's talk about your questions. Let's get into the good stuff here. So first up is Ann says, anyone using SaaS for their agency that has AI integrated into it, mostly looking to streamline our operations? Yes, we are going to be doing, by the way, more in this group about that, because I think AI has an incredible capacity to take a working process and speed it up. So we've got a few different variations of that, just so you guys know. By the way, Facebook does this thing sometimes where I can't see your comments. I can't see that you guys are there. Today is one of those days, so I'm not purposely ignoring you. But anyways, so yes, so tons of stuff really going on with AI. I mean, obviously, the low-hanging fruit, we have people who are using chatbots on websites to help use conversion. We are having people do chat sequences and using chatbots to handle the follow-up. And also, we have people that are doing straight-up AI voice answering. Having said that, I think the most interesting side, as you mentioned, is on the fulfillment side. One of the things that Dr. Bennett Black has been working on, our automations man, you guys will be hearing more from him, is what he's been working on is a tool that will automatically do your client communication. So it'll check your project manager, it'll check your dashboards for your stats. And we had a big talk about this, Lane, how can I, is that no matter how awesome your reporting dashboard is, clients don't understand it. So it's not really a data problem. It's can you explain this data to me in plain English? Is this good? Is this bad? How are we actually doing? And we have a tool that will analyze what you're doing and then give proactive client updates several times a week in simple, short, plain English, so they feel like you're on the ball, keeping them informed. and you don't have to create this whole extra other task called updating the client, which is sometimes 50% of the fucking work. So there are all kinds of different ways to spin AI into things. A couple of people I saw, Jane Hardy, talking about they're using N8N. For those of you guys not familiar with those tools, there's some tools like Make.com and N8N that allow you to chain together AI tasks. Jonathan Mass, for example, was telling me that he's got a client. They're somewhere in Latin America. I don't remember exactly where, but they have a news website, and they publish news stories frequently, and then they spin them into their own little stories. And so what they were doing manually is they were constantly checking the news 24 hours a day so they could write opinion pieces about the news. And he created a bot that, firstly, I believe it's in Make, maybe N8N, one of those tools. It scans news websites like every half hour. So like 48 times a day, it'll check, is there a news story? Then it'll feed that data over to a custom GPT, which will write an opinion piece in their style, and then they pass it to another bot that automatically posts it. Ergo, they're able to publish like live news in real time, opinion pieces, unique original content, and do it super, super fast, which I think is pretty fucking gnarly. So who knows where this world is headed, but I was just listening to a track of music this morning. We have people that are sending AI songs to clients, and it's amazing to me. It's like you can write a personalized song to somebody that's radio quality, and I find myself listening to the radio less and less because I can listen to songs about me, right? Like that's just that's some shit. And by the way, I'll play. Maybe I won't because I don't have my speaker around. Oh yes, I do. I'll play a version for you guys of a song that I created. Just real quick, I'll give you guys a little taste. But I want to show you guys actually how good this shit is. It might not stream so well, so we're just going to give it a little piece. But this is a song I wrote about my checkered past. And I use it as a tool to remind me to be grateful of, just where I am. But it's called I'm Still Here. I'll skip to the chorus. Into a power song. I'm still here. I'm still standing. Okay, I won't make you guys listen to the whole jam, but just so you guys know, that's 100% AI. That's not a real band. Like, fucking incredible, right? So there's tons of shit like that. Honestly, like, I feel like I know 1% of this stuff, although I'll tell you guys, the fact that you guys understand this at all, you're ahead of 98% of the world. This is like 1995. The internet came out, and nobody really knows what the internet is. Like, most of the people don't realize in 20 years you're going to buy everything you fucking buy on Amazon, and everybody's going to shop online, and you're going to stop going to stores the same way, and Christmas shopping is going to be a little less crazy, and now you're going to be dependent on the postman to be on time or the UPS driver or whoever. That's where we are with AI. It's like 1995. Even if you feel like you don't understand that much, I promise you're ahead of like 98% of the world. And most businesses, by the way, are starting to hear about it and going, we need this shit, but we don't know how to do it. So I just helped one of my partners set up something this weekend that we believe is going to be $1 million micro tool. And holy shit, $1 million micro tools. And the fact that I know how to do that and most people don't gives me a cut of the goodness. So anyways, yes, I don't really have a definitive answer for you other than to say, I would join AI communities and stay on top of what people are using it for, because that's how I hear about a lot of the shit. I'm just in communities, and people ask questions. You go, say that again? You're doing what with it? Again, I would like to point out, just by the way, that Facebook doesn't always show me who's live and comments and all that shit, so I'm not purposely ignoring you guys. Now being one of those times, I don't see anybody here live, but I know you guys are there. Bruno says, does anybody use LinkedIn to get clients? Does it even actually work? Okay, so I mentioned this in the short version, but anytime somebody asks, does blank work? Here's the reality of it. The answer is yes, it works for some people, and no, it does not work for most people. So I hear, do Facebook ads still work? Yes. Does SEO still work? Yes. Does, publishing content still work? Yes. Does YouTube still work? Yes. And it's not that those things don't work. It's that the devil's in the details and most people mix them up. So based on something you said, Bruno, I think the thing that people actually miss the most is the real basics. When I say basics, I don't mean that they're simple. I just mean fundamentals. I don't know if any of you guys are basketball fans, but there was a dude retired, several years ago named Tim Duncan, who was a all-star kind of player, and he was like the least flashy player ever. I think he won a couple MVPs. He was, won some championships. One of the all-time greats. But he's the least flashy guy ever, and they called him the big fundamental. Like a lot of it, he would do a turnaround, bank it off the backboard, and he was just really good at the real fucking simple fundamentals. And I feel like LinkedIn, and this is a thing that screws people up, is I almost find always the common accepted advice, it does not matter what platform you're talking about, Facebook ads, cold outreach, LinkedIn, put anything in there. Almost all of the discussion revolves around the technical side of it. So if I go into a Facebook group, they're talking about only scale your winners by this much. Which boxes do I check? Are you running conversion campaigns? Are you running lead campaigns? Always technical shit, okay? If I go to cold outreach, they're talking about server setups. They're talking about warming up domains. They're talking about their technical setup. And if you go to LinkedIn, they're going to talk about what times a day to post and which communities and all those things. And what people really fucking miss is they do not understand the person on the other side of the ad. They do not have a clear defined person who it is for. They do not have a clear defined offer. And they do not have an easy to say yes to way for us to get started or at least move in the direction of doing business together. And because of that, that's why this shit gets hard. Okay? So I'm here to tell you psychology before technology. Psychology before technology. In other words, understand the human that you're talking to. So the first thing you got to do is really fucking basic. But in your case, and this is true for a lot of you guys listening to this, you got to put your flag in and represent someone. You have to decide who this is for. And I'll tell you what happens if you don't decide who this is for. You'll start talking about your thing and no one will care. So I'll give you an example of this. We got a guy, Mike may be listening to this. Shout out to Mike and Ian if you're listening to this. But one of the things he does is Google Ads. Now, if I go into a group and I start droning on about Google Ads, you know how many business owners woke up today and said, my problem is Google Ads. I need someone to fix Google Ads for me. I'll tell you, it's like 1/1,000,000% thought about Google Ads today. Here's what he figured out. He decided to do it for plumbers, and he decided to help them focus on new construction jobs. Why new construction jobs? Very simple answer. Because most plumbers get emergency calls where they have to run and clean a shitty fucking toilet. Like imagine some 400-pound sweaty fat guy left a big turd that you can smell. Like just had some Taco Bell yesterday, and you got to get the plunger and the snake out and try and like not gag and hopefully don't spill some of that shit on you. Or you can do new construction where it's brand new and you can do it in a collared shirt and you don't even get dirty. Right? So when he goes to them to solve a problem, messaging-wise, he is not saying, do you want some Google Ads? Right? In other words, do you want a hammer? He is saying, hey, it must really suck to get emergency phone calls where you get covered in shit. Would you be interested in getting new construction work where you don't have to? And you know what people do? Tell me more about that. And all of a sudden, he's moving in the direction of a sale. So I tell this to you guys because it ain't fucking LinkedIn. Yes, people are making every platform work. As long as your target market is on that platform, there is a way to make it work. Okay? What most people miss is the Tim Duncan fundamentals. Right? Like if I go message somebody, say, hey, are you interested in some Google Ads? They're going to be like, no, not really. But if I say, hey, like, do you find you get a lot of calls where you get covered in shit? Can't be that fun. We figured out a way to get the new construction work so you make more money and you don't have to ever fucking touch a turd. Would you be interested in hearing more about that? Right? That's going to get, yes, tell me more. On LinkedIn, on cold outreach, on a Facebook ad, because the people don't change, by the way. A plumber don't become a different person on LinkedIn versus cold outreach versus a Facebook ad or a YouTube video or however else you're marketing to these people. If you're doing a webinar, it's the same shit. So the biggest reason people fail on these platforms is not because of the technical shit. And yet if you go to a community, that's all they're going to talk about. Technical. Shout out to our man Sam Carlson, by the way, who's made it easy for a lot of you guys with UpHex to write simple fucking ads that just get people in the door. And the reason they work is because they got a simple offer that's easy to say yes to, right? So I feel like one of the biggest reasons people struggle is they just don't understand the people. And conventional wisdom says get better at the technical stuff. So, for example, I'll see this. I'm part of Jeff Miller's group. Somebody will say, hey, my Facebook ad's working. And the next 10 questions are technical questions. Are you running conversion ads? Are you running lead ads? What kind of setup you got? And nobody says, what are you fucking actually offering in the ad and to who? Right? So I'm ranting a little bit because chances are if you're not making it work, here is the basic process. Figure out who you want to do it for. Research their problems. Create an actual solution to their problems. Create an easy to say yes to way to get started with you. And then go prospect with that. And you're going to be in a lot better shape than most. And most people skip the first two steps. The boring fundamental shit. Who are we doing this for? Getting absolute clarity about that. And what problems are they trying to fix? Them. Because your ads are not about you, by the way. I just did some critiques on some ads last week for people doing it. And man, like 10 of the fucking ads were all about trying to tell them who they are instead of saying, hey, you know this problem you have. So it would look like this. Like I mentioned Mike. If I'm running Mike's ads, and I'm talking about myself, which is what most people do. I'd say, hey, my name's Mike. We run Google pay-per-click. We're real good at it. We've been doing it 13 years. We're amazing. Book a call now. And you know who cares about Mike? Nobody. But if I start with the plumber, now we got a who, and I start with the problem, you're getting covered in shit, that's already a better ad. Hey, plumber, you ever find that you get a lot of emergency calls getting covered in shit? Well, most SEO, pay-per-click, and web designers all just optimize you for any type of phone call. But we figured out there are very specific keywords that you can aim at to only get new construction, so you never have to get called out to a job and deal with a smelly turd ever again. If you'd like to know more about it, book a call. That's going to be a better ad because we started with who and the problem. So, fundamentals. Who are you doing it for? What problem you solve? You have to know that before you know what your thing is. By the way, most people start with their deliverable. I do ads, pay-per-click, websites, SEO, AI automation, chatbots. You know how many business owners woke up today and said, I need a chatbot with some pay-per-click integration? Nobody. You know how many plumbers said, I don't want to do this today because I can't handle another Taco Bell shit. A lot of them, right? So you have to relate your deliverable to a problem that they are experiencing day to day, and you cannot skip step 1 and 2. Who are we doing this for? What problems do they have? Skip those, and I promise you, everything you do after that will be hard. Tim Duncan, big fundamentals. Rant over. I'm going to drop the mic on that one, but I'm telling you guys, people struggle with this shit, not because of the technical shit. Ignore all the technical shit advice. The technical stuff, by the way, has a place after your offer is dialed in. But people skip that and want to go straight to, and then they tell other people about them and their service, and nobody cares. And it's like kind of sad. Sad to me. Anyways. Rant over. By the way, I just want to reiterate one more time. I'm not seeing your guys' comments. They're just not showing up for me, and it doesn't show anybody live. And then usually what happens is after the thing is over, I see, hey, you guys were here. You guys were here. I wasn't just ranting, old man yelling at cloud by himself. Jason, this is the question, by the way, I was most looking forward to talking about. So Jason says, Frankie, in the digital assets book, how you talk about lawyers licensing proven commercial ideas like the hammer and the heavy hitter, how do you stop a potential licensee from saying, well, I could just copy that now that I know it exists? Is it because lawyers are known to be litigious and litigious? I don't know how you actually say that, but sue people, and fear of that keeps them from doing so? Or are they really understanding that they're buying a proven idea here? So I'll answer the question, and I have like a whole deeper kind of rant behind this. So the first is definitely, I'm going to sue you. So they actually have a contract that says you can't do this. And usually, by the way, when somebody comes up with a gimmick, like a big shot lawyer, and they run like millions of dollars worth of shit, There's like trademarks, there's patents. I don't know the ins and outs, but there's shit like that. So you can't just go a state over and copy the thing without their buy-in. So that's the first reason, like lawsuits, like you mentioned. But there's actually a bigger second reason. And the second reason is because if they're a good marketer, which they are, by the way, the top $100 million lawyers are definitely good marketers. By the way, most of the top people in every industry are better marketers than they are like actual doers. So like the top lawyers don't do any lawyering. They don't try cases. They don't see clients. They just know how to sell on a commercial. That's their job. They have people who come in and a team and fulfillment and those kind of things. What they do know how to do is sell the shit out of fucking their law firm on a commercial. So anyway, that's the second reason is the heavy hitter or the hammer. And by the way, for those of you guys who didn't read the book, just give you a little bit of backstory so you understand what we're talking about here. So I mentioned this, that when you're kind of buying and selling digital assets, that if you start with something known, you can make a whole bunch more money. And so a lot of what I found is when I started working with attorneys, I would meet one attorney who would call himself the heavy hitter. And then I would meet a guy another state over, and he would call himself the heavy hitter too. And then I go 3 states over, and there's another heavy hitter. And before I knew it, I found out there's a heavy hitter in every state. And I remember saying to my mentor, I was, man, like, Ken, these guys are lazy. Like, they just copy each other. What's up with that? And he said, oh, no. He said, they're licensing that gimmick. And then I talked to a lawyer who was licensing his gimmick. So in other words, he had figured out how to make people call him with, I'm the heavy hitter. In a commercial, he'd have a baseball bat, so he'd be memorable. And he had figured out how to make people call him. And eventually what he did is he created a second business where he would license his intellectual property. In other words, he would go to another lawyer and say, hey, if you want to steal all our commercials and ads and all that, I'm happy to give it all to you. And you can license my gimmick from me. In other words, pay me a fee. And you can be the heavy hitter in your state, and it'll work. And here's the thing that blew my mind, okay? This is the point of telling you this story, is they would tell me they would make more money licensing their gimmick than they did running a law firm. And I went, say that again? And I said, what do you have to deliver? And they said, nothing. There's nothing to deliver. And I was like, why don't more people do this licensing thing? And it's a very simple reason, by the way. Once people have achieved a certain level of success in business, they're super busy. And even though they know they could do 1,000 things, they really have time to maybe do 3. So like I think of Jay Abraham, friend of mine. Many of you guys know him. He's one of the most well-known marketers ever, although he's a little bit, kind of pre-internet days, but he's helped people sell billions. He's Tony Robbins' mentor and Damon John's mentor and things like that. Jay's told me he spends on average day, 8 hours continuously speaking between Zoom calls, in-person events, speaking on stage, Q&As, interviews, 8 hours every day for 40 straight years talking. So does Jay know he could license his gimmick? Do you think Jay has time to do it? Right? And I'm not picking on Jay Abraham. That's generally true of successful people. So this is why I say it's actually easier to start with somebody who's already doing $100 million. And this is the question, by the way. If you want to make money, I'll give you guys a real example in a second, but if you want to make money with digital assets, this is the question. What else could this be used for? Sounds simple, but you'd be amazed at how much money can be made from that. So I'll give you 2 examples, by the way, of people who have done this with me. So one of them, shout out to our man, Sam Whalen. He came to me a couple of years ago and said, hey, he said, have you ever thought about putting together some courses? And I said, yeah. And he said, why haven't you? And I said, well, to be honest, like it's a low ticket thing. It's not really worth my time. I'm like busier chasing other bigger things. And he said, what if I went through like your old mastermind calls for you and found themes and topics and grouped them together and wrote the messaging and wrote the copy, and you didn't have to do shit, and we created a low ticket course and we could partner up and sell it. So for him, it's probably 4 to 8 hours of organizing materials. And by the way, that's easier than getting a client, just so you know, because that's an automatic yes. I don't know anybody like Sam who's coming to me and saying, hey, I'll take your existing assets, ask himself the question, what else could this be used for? And obviously courses was one of the things that came up. And I said, okay. and he sold it, and we made a bunch of money together. I'm a small time influencer, by the way, right? Like, so like he could do that with somebody with 100 times the following as me. But that's an example, is like he came in and said, hey, I want to repackage, repurpose your digital assets, turn it into a standalone. Would you be interested in that? So these opportunities, by the way, are bigger than actually getting clients, which is, by the way, you don't really hear me talk a lot about clients. Most of my clients that are with me now are legacy clients, but the new ones we bring into the machine are all partners where I am not an employee. I do not get a retainer, but what I do is I come in, I recognize their digital assets, and I take them. So shout out to Real Estate Matt. So one of the things that we're doing right now, like literally this morning, is he's got a tool he created. So he's got a process, by the way, where one of the things that all the fix and flip guys struggle with is, how do I estimate the repairs? All right, I need an accurate number to know that there's $35,000 worth of repairs, give or take a few thousand, but I need an accurate number. So he's created like really exhaustive formulas to do this. And I was like, hey, Matt, I could program the AI so that the person could either just give details of the house or even just upload photos, and it will automatically output, like, here's a summary of everything you're going to have to pay for and a total estimate of it using your formulas that you created. And it'll do it 100 times faster than your spreadsheets, and people will love it. And he said to me, hey, that's $1 million idea. Can we go halvesies on that? And just so you guys know, that's going to take me about 20 minutes to finish setting up. There'll probably be some tweaking and stuff like that. But the reason it works is because we started with existing digital assets and went, what else could this be used for? So if you guys haven't read the book, read the book, because it'll blow your mind for what's possible. But this is the game, is acquiring digital assets and repackaging and repurposing them and renting them out for ongoing cash flow. So I'm going to end the rant there, other than to say, to your original question, Jason, yes, they would get sued if they copied the gimmick. And two, the bigger reason, actually, by the way, is because the partner is a good marketer and is constantly evolving the gimmick. Right? The gimmick is not a static thing. They're evolving, coming up with better commercials, angles, YouTube videos, whatever. So each year you get the latest thing. And so it's a lot easier for them than trying to figure out growing a law practice on your own. Why not just copy what another guy has already done? And lawyers, by the way, are typically only licensed in one state. Some of like the northeast kind of states where they're real small. Sometimes they might be licensed a state or two over. But for the most part, like, they just have one little small geographic area. Ergo, why not license your thing to other people who are not even your competitors? And again, you make more money. And by the way, you can easily come in and broker these deals. You can go to anybody in almost any industry and say, hey, I want to take your shit that's working and license it to other people and give you a whole new revenue stream. And you don't have to do shit, because we're just going to give them access to your stuff. Would you be interested in that? And almost nobody's going to say no to you, by the way. Almost nobody. Hey, I want to bring you extra money and you don't have to do shit. Like, that's the most irresistible offer there is. I'm going to bring you extra money and you don't have to do shit. So anytime you, by the way, and this is backwards to how most people think. Most people think, how do I find somebody broke and struggling and try and save them with my marketing service? And you want to find the people who are doing 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures, maybe even billions, and go, what do they have here that can be repackaged and repurposed into a whole other revenue stream? And as long as they deal in something digital, chances are they already got it. Whether that's courses, trainings, masterminds, services, AI tools, software, e-commerce, whatever, like, there's digital assets already in their system that can be repackaged and repurposed and create revenue streams for both of you. It's the easiest thing in the world. I wouldn't just say it's easy. It's simple. Simple means it's not complex. Easy means any idiot could do it. I don't think any idiot could do it. We have a very unique skill set. But it's simple. Like, there are not a lot of moving pieces. Anyways, hope that's helpful, my dude. I'll talk to you after that. Saul says, how are y'all tracking results for your clients? So this is something that I see come up a lot, and a lot of people assume a technical solution. So there are certainly technical solutions, Google Analytics, tracking pixels, things like that. And all of those things work. But I am a believer that the number one way to track sales is to come up with a unique offer that only you offer for that business. So for example, like imagine I was working with a pizza place, and imagine they got 2 large pizzas for $24.99. I don't even know anymore if that's like a realistic price or not. I live in Mexico, and since the inflation, since the COVID madness, don't even know. So anyways, COVID madness is a whole other topic. But so $24.99, 2 pizzas, okay? Let's say I made a special $29.99. You get 2 pizzas, you get a large Coke, and you get some breadsticks, and get 2 3-topping large pizzas or whatever, right? Well, anybody who calls up and says, "Hey, I want the $29.99 special," where else could they have come from other than from me, right? So that's the first thing. If you guys want to take this to the extreme, which I wrote about in version 3.0 of this baby, which you guys can check out now, is the closer you are to sales, the better this is going to be for you. So I'll give you an example of being close to sales, and then you guys will really understand, kind of hopefully through the story, pick up what I'm throwing down. So Lana started with yoga and dance studio owners. And in the beginning, how you sell yoga is with 2 offers. Offer number 1, come in for a free class. Offer number 2, become a regular monthly member. Okay? That's how yoga and dance and shit like that is typically sold. And what she found is most of these studios were so bad at being on the phone is that they could not even fucking close a free session. So they wouldn't pick up the phone. They wouldn't be able to answer basic questions. I remember like one call, somebody was driving. They said, "What's your address?" They said, "I don't know. I'm on the road. I'll call you back." And then they don't call the person back. They can't even answer like basic questions. And so it was driving her crazy. And I remember one day we had the aha, like epiphany inside of the mastermind. It was like, why does this need to be sold with a call? Right? It's a free session. People know what yoga is. Why can't they just schedule it? So we went to scheduling it. And then Lana had the brilliant idea of like, why can't I just sell the membership? Like people actually know what yoga is. And so she created, I think like, I want to say a 6 or 8 week introductory offer. Try it for a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. And decided to sell it on the website. And what happens is, it's not the clients collecting money. It's Lana collecting the money and then paying the client their share. So it went from her starting out and hearing, all the leads suck. They're all bad leads. None of these leads are any good. There's no good leads. By the way, she hasn't heard in 2-3 years the leads are bad. But now she's paying them out, right? So she's as close to the sales as you can be. And how did she do that? Tracking. She made her own fucking offer and then put it on a site and said, buy it. There's a button. Buy it. So that's my way of saying that I think how do you track client results? Yes, there are a lot of technical solutions. Google Analytics, tracking pixels, high rows if you guys are, like on the upper end of spending. But I think offers is the most simplest thing. Hey, I'm interested in your 2 pizzas, large Coke, and breadstick offer. I made that offer. Where else did they come from? In Lana's case, hey, I'm interested in your 6-week or 8-week boot camp or whatever it is. To get started, I signed up on your website. Where did they come from? From her. Where else could they have come from? So I hope that clears the mud a little bit. But I believe most people look for a technical solution when it's really an offer solution. Sounds simple, but it's powerful. Last one we got up is Travis. Again, just pointing out that the old Facebook machine does not show me that you guys are live with me and your questions. It does that sometimes. I know you guys are there. I'll answer whatever comments, questions you guys left after. Travis says, just had a client cancel because in their words, they wanted to mix it up. We accounted for 58% of their total business last year through SEO alone. I love running an agency. By the way, this was from another group, but I wanted to rant on this. There is nothing that feels like a bigger kick to the fucking balls or to the ovaries than a client you crushed it for canceling. but I want to give you guys some reasons clients cancel, because if you understand the whole picture, it will happen a whole lot less frequently. Okay? So, kind of sharing a story on this. Friend of mine, Peter, he ran the largest Facebook ad agency in Europe. And a lot of the common bro advice is, just get results, man. Just get results. And you get results and like clients will pay you forever. By the way, that ain't true, just so you know. I'm not saying you'll keep clients without results, but like as if it's the whole formula. It's not. So if you get clients, results, I think that's the baseline. And when I say results, I mean if they hire you to make a website, you make them a nice fucking website. If you run pay-per-click campaigns, you're getting them some leads. If they hire you for Facebook ads, like your ads to at least some degree are working. Okay? So Peter got a client who started out making $10K per month as a business. They hired him, and in about 60 or 90 days, so let's call it 3 months, they were making $400,000 per month. What's that as an ROI? Like 4,000%, 40,000%? I don't know. A lot, right? 10,000 to 400K. That's a $390,000 per month improvement. And he told me there was nothing more shocking in the world than they said, "You're fired, Peter." Gave him the stone cold stunner, presumably, said, "Fuck you." Kicked him in the guts. Boom! Drop him out. And then, Peter's on the ground selling it. So if it was just about getting results, then that would never happen, by the way. Ever. Ever. So getting results is one piece of the puzzle. Okay? A second piece of the puzzle is the client communication. And clients, by the way, won't say this overtly, but even if it's working, but they have to badger you. And by the way, there's an easy way to tell whether your client communication is on point. And here is the way to tell. Who initiates the discussion? If your client says, "Can you give me an update?" they're going to be annoyed and unhappy with you. If you're giving them updates before they ask, that means, like, for example, somebody told me today they gave a client an update and after 7 days they wanted more information. That meant at day 5 or 6, you should be proactively giving them something before day 7. And this is how most agencies operate from a communication standpoint. They go, end of month report, radio silence for 30 days. End of month report, radio silence for 30 days. End of month report, radio silence for 30 days. And especially in the beginning, for those of you guys who have like a long deliverable, that is simply not enough. So clients leave just as much for communication. I wrote about this in the book, but true story. My neighbor in Mexico, he's there like 2-3 weeks a year, right? Like he's a snowbird. And I was just trying to make some small talk with him. Hey neighborino, nice to see you. Fine house you got there. It's me in small talk mode, which I don't do very often, but just obligatory small talk with the neighbor. And I said, how was your experience getting that house built? And he looked me in the eyes and he went, "It was the worst fucking experience of my life." And I went, "Really? Why?" And he proceeded to tell me that he had never been to Mexico and decided he wanted to move here and bought it sight unseen. So he sent I think the house cost like $250,000. He sent $250,000 to a stranger sight unseen. Then I said, "What happened?" And he said, "I didn't hear anything. Nobody would message me back for like 3 to 6 months." And he said, and then I said, "What happened?" He said, "Eventually I got this little 3-4 page document in the mail about my property. And it was all highly technical Spanish. And I tried getting it translated and people said, it's technical. It doesn't translate. I don't know what the fuck this says." And then I said, "What happened?" He said, "After 12 months, I drove down here to find out like what the fuck is going on." And I said, "What happened?" He said, "Oh, I pulled out and the house was built perfectly. There was nothing I had to do." And yet, he said, "It was the worst fucking experience of my life." Why? Because for 12 months, he was in the dark. So by the way, if you don't proactively update clients, they assume the worst. So nobody talks about this, but your client communication is just as much your service as the fucking result you get. And if it's not on point, they will cancel. Third reason they cancel, and nobody talks about this one, how unique your shit is, right? So I kind of Shudder a little bit for those of you guys who do SEO, because you got to look over your shoulder. Like, that's the girl at the bar who gets hit on 100 times a week, right? You just got to fuck up one time, and there'll be some dude who slides in your place. Flip side of that is they may have an end of the run finally, but there's a company in the legal space that's like $100 million plus company called Alert Communications, and they do one thing. They're a virtual assistant agency. They answer the phone after hours and weekends. And they don't close, they don't set appointments, they don't do anything. They just take down your info, and then they send you a report for the call this person back in the morning. And they have a simple like pay-per-use model. So you don't have to pay unless, they're actually answering calls for you. Here's why they make $100 million. Very simple reason. No one else does what they do. Real fucking hard to cancel. Think about all the software that you don't cancel because it's the only thing that does that shit. Like, those of you guys who have your whole business tied up to go high level, why? Because it's the fucking only thing that does what it does, right? So that's another reason. Another reason, by the way, clients cancel is you selected the wrong ones to begin with. So if you take smaller businesses that are not set up to scale and then your shit works, almost always when your shit works, they'll go, hey, we're busy, we're backed up, we got too much shit going on, we all need to cancel. Right? Easy enough to understand. But this works better with businesses that can handle the influx. So like if I take one single attorney and I do SEO for him and I get him number one and all of a sudden he's like, they're banging on his door with phone calls, he's going to cancel because he can't keep up with the work. Flip side of that is, if I get a law firm of 100 people, it's a lot harder to bury 100 people in work than one, right? So they're going to be set up to scale more. Another reason clients cancel, expectations. Even if you do perfect shit, our shit is intangible and abstract, which means clients do not automatically know what they're buying from you. And so the only way to do this, so I'll give you a real life example of me fucking this up. I got a friend of mine, Larry Weinstein. He's in this group, by the way. Larry is the smartest accountant I know, the most entrepreneurial accountant. Came to me one time and said, I've been meaning to run Facebook ads forever. Do you think you could set them up? And this was a little bit outside of our service, but I was like, man, Larry, I love you. Of course. And because he was Larry, this is the amount of expectation setting I did. Big fat fucking zero. Don't recommend it, but that's what I did. So then we started running Facebook ads. Now Larry's got a $10,000 service to start out, and many of them renew year after year after year. And we started running a webinar campaign, and we started getting $4 leads out of the gate. I want you guys just to do the math on that. At $4 leads, and if we like follow up and nurture those people, how many leads do you think we could get and still be profitable? And the answer is like a fucking lot, right? If we get 1,000 leads, 1,000 of them, we're still, and only one of them converts, we're going to still be profitable. So I already knew this was all in my head. But what Larry experienced is, because I did zero expectation setting, again, don't recommend it, but I did, is we started running the webinar, and after like 30 days, nobody had picked up the phone to call him. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever helped a client set up a new Facebook ad account, but them motherfuckers like bill you like every 10 seconds. In the beginning when they're trying out your credit card, oh, you spent $2, oh, you spent $5, you spent 10. So Larry just sees like 100 fucking credit card charges. It's been 30 days and nobody's called him. Like, holy shit, he's freaking out. By the way, Larry's like, ooh, I feel like we need to pause this. Now, if I had said, hey, Larry, 5 things of setting expectations, by the way, 5. I got clear on the result. Hey, we're going to run a webinar funnel. I want to get $10 to $15 webinar registrations because the math will work. Cost, you're going to have to spend $5,000 to $10,000 in ad money before we get this baby dialed in and start. This is a new unproven funnel, so we need to do some tweaking and dialing it in, and there will be some follow-up and nurture required. Time. Hey Larry, this will absolutely work, but we're going to need 3 to 6 months to have conversations with these people, tweak it, run some ads, iterate, and also nurture those leads. Like some of the people who watch your webinar today, we'll call you in 3, 6, 12 months in the nurture sequence. We need to figure that out. Communication. Hey, actually on the cost front, hey, Facebook's going to bill you a whole fucking bunch in the beginning. Don't be surprised if you get, a dozen times where they ding your card for really small amounts. That's what they do with new accounts. In his mind, he just saw like 12 fucking, you just got billed emails and went, holy shit, how much money did you spend? Communication. Hey, Larry, I'm going to give you an update at the end of the week. Sit tight just for a week. Go on this journey with me. By the end of the week, I'll let you know how we're doing. And and I'll give you the numbers. I'll bring the stats, and I'll let you know what we're working on. What I need from you, I need to get access to your account, and I need you to commit to the process for 3 to 6 months. Are you down to do that? Didn't do any of those things, by the way. Larry canceled. Larry's a cool guy. Like, no, there was no hard feelings or anything about it. But he pulled the plug and was like, I'm not quite ready for Facebook ads. So another reason, your expectation process or lack thereof is one of the other reasons people cancel. And then, if you want to keep clients, by the way, the flip side of that is, do you exceed those expectations? But that is the biggest piece. If you're getting results for people, you're choosing the right people who are set up to scale, you got something unique that they can't easily replace you with, you're setting good expectations and exceeding them, for the most part, like, you're going to keep clients a long fucking time. So I know it sucks when you get the kick in the balls, that you actually do an amazing, stellar result. In your case, you said I'm 58% of the total business they generated, and then you get your Dear John letter. But I'm telling you, it's in one of those things. So it clearly wasn't the result, but it could have been. You chose the wrong person who's not set up to scale, and now they're like, shit, we're at capacity. We don't need you. It could have been, we like these guys, it's working, but man, it's like pulling teeth getting updates for them. Or it could have been just like what you're doing is not all that unique for them. And so you got to look at over your shoulder, just like the girl who works as a bartender at the popular nightclub and gets hit on 100 times a night, every night. The minute you screw up just even a little bit, she's probably got another option lined up, whether you like that or not. So focus on like a way to tweak your service and make it more unique. Anyways, that's all I got on that rant. Hope that's helpful. Just looking at the questions we got. Looks like that's all the questions. I'm sure you guys have said some cool stuff in the comments. As I mentioned, I can't always see this shit, so fuck it. Fuck you, Zuck. Anyways, for those of you guys who missed the intro, we got some good old updates happening to version 3.0 of this. The physical version is live on Amazon. Those of you guys who bought the ebook version, that is live. The Kindle version is not quite there yet, but I'm hoping, like literally any day. We were about 98% finished last time I checked, so I'm just waiting for a message to say, it's done, baby! And then the Audible version will probably take me a month, because Audible's a lot more finicky, there's a lot more to do, and I actually have not recorded version 3.0. What's different, for those of you guys who asked, is we went deeper on a lot of things. I went deeper on getting clients and offers, because I had a lot of questions about that. We also, like how we're incorporating artificial intelligence, some of the breakthroughs we've had in hiring in the last little while. I also went deeper on like Loom videos and closing, because I just had so many questions about how do you close on video, so I decided to put that in the book, go deeper for you guys. And I don't know, that's really it. It's like those things. So about 60% of the book is exactly the same as before, but at 40% of it, I went way, way deeper, hopefully to help you guys make better offers, sign up clients faster, hire better, and like also how to use AI to automate and do shit like that. So that's all I got for you guys. I'm sure there's more comments, questions, but I can't see them right now. So appreciate you guys. Happy Monday. Much love. May the force be with you. Hey guys, if you like this video, you may also like my best-selling book here, Beyond the Agency Box. It is all about scaling a digital marketing agency while eliminating meetings and phone calls. We actually sell our stuff
phoneless. We don't have any client meetings, and we also hire our team entirely without meeting phone calls, which allows us to, like actually kind of live a life. I've laid out the entire blueprint in everything you need to know, getting clients, onboarding, setting expectations, scaling, building a team, you name it. It has been a bestseller on Amazon now for over 5 straight years, but now you can get it even cheaper than you can get it on Amazon. So I can't tell you the exact price because it may change when this video is released, but there should be a link to it below, either in the description of the video or as well as a pinned comment. So if you're interested in that, check out that video and you can get a copy for super cheap.